Yeah, what's going on, people? I want y'all to look at this tweet right here on the screen. This is the type of foolishness and the ignorance that goes on right now in the NBA with fanboys. It's ridiculous. I just want to take some time to talk to y'all today. All right, check this out. Kevin Garnett, the year before Kobe was drafted, was the first high school player to come out to the NBA and come out in the NBA. I believe it was since Moses Malone. I know Shawn Kemp came out of high school, but I think Shawn Kemp had a year or something, and then he came. But Kevin Garnett, they made a big stink about it. Like, oh, is he ready? This, that, and the other. Prior to Kobe Bryant coming out, there was no guard, no small forwards that ever came into the league out of high school. Kevin Garnett was drafted high because he was 7 feet tall. There was a stigma about smaller guys coming out that wasn't 7 feet tall or was a big man. So yes, Kobe was drafted 13th. But it's clear to say that he was the best player in that awesome 1996 NBA draft class. Yes, Kobe set the bench the first couple of years while he was in the NBA. Because Dale Harris didn't want Kobe playing all those minutes. He called him showboat. He didn't want to put him in the starting lineup. Kobe had to learn. Kobe used that as fuel. So to sit here and be like, oh, Kobe wasn't good enough to come out. If Kobe went to another team, Kobe would have put up numbers his first and second year. Kobe was a dog like that. Kobe learned. He used that as fuel. And he learned and became a great player. But Kobe came into the league a killer already. Yes, he airballed 3 times against the Utah Jazz. But guess what? He's the only one who had the balls to take the shot. The only one. Shaq alluded to it. Nobody wanted to touch the ball. Nobody. So now we sitting here trying to belittle the legacy of the great Kobe Bryant. I'm tired of the disrespect. Tired of the disrespect. Dudes ain't. At one time, there was a conversation, is he better than Jordan? There were debates about that. Now y'all barely putting him top 10, and some of these ignorant dudes ain't even putting him top 10. Trying to destroy the legacy of one of the greats. I'm sick and tired. You got people like Nick Wright, who I know is on somebody's payroll. Because 12 years prior, you were saying that Kevin Durant was the best player. You would take Kevin Durant.
Phone call completed.
You would take Kevin Durant over. You'll take Kevin Durant over LeBron James. Now all of a sudden, LeBron is just the greatest thing, since sliced bread. LeBron is the air to your living organism. He's the water to your living organism. Where before you was like, I'll take Durant. He can do everything that Bron can do. Plus he can shoot and he's 7 foot. What changed, Nick? What changed, Nick? Shannon Sharp, Skip, go James, go James, Skip back, Skip, don't do that, Skip. You were saying that Kobe was your favorite player at one time. You love Kobe. What happened? That bag happened, didn't it? Oh, go James. Oh, go James. Oh, go James. At no point in the league was Tim Duncan ever considered the best player in the NBA. He was the best big man in the NBA. But at no time was Tim Duncan ever considered the best player in the NBA. And I love Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamentals. But ain't no way in the world I'm putting Tim Duncan over Kobe Bryant as a basketball player. Tim Duncan had a better structure around him for his entire career. Kobe did not have that. Yes, he had the great Phil Jackson. And he won championships under the great Phil Jackson. Absolutely. Man, it's crazy, bro. Absolutely crazy, bro. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, Kobe came in. So let me stop and slow down. I know I was on my Tim Duncan rant. But Kobe came in, was drafted out of high school, 17 years old. Not 18, 17. If it wasn't for Kobe having success, we would have never had, or Tracy McGrady, Gilbert Arenas, players like that would have been looked at crazy if it wasn't for Kobe Bryant coming out. Kobe said that Kobe was the reason that a LeBron James could come out and be the #1 draft pick. Kobe was. Yes, I know LeBron is absolutely, he's one of the greatest players of all time. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not here to bash LeBron. Even though I don't think he'd a GOAT. I wouldn't put him over Kobe. I wouldn't put him over Jordan. And I hated Jordan. I am a diehard Laker fan and been one my whole life. And I'm 42, about to be 43 years old. Magic Johnson is my favorite basketball player of all time. I saw Magic. I saw Bird. I saw Kobe. I saw T-Mac. I seen LeBron. I seen all these players. I wouldn't put LeBron over Kobe. I wouldn't put LeBron over Jordan. I wouldn't put LeBron over Larry Bird. And between him and Magic, me personally, I would put Magic over him, but I can see an argument over it. I wouldn't put LeBron over Kareem. I saw Kareem had the most unstoppable shot in NBA history. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, if you take away the last 3 years of Kobe's career, Kobe averaged 28 points a game. After that Achilles injury, Kobe wasn't the same. I hear people saying, well, yeah, he had 5 championships, but Shaq carried him. That's a lie. Now, I would say the first championship, okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, I can give you that. But the second and third, it's a lie. Look at those Western Conference championship, or Western Conference playoff series, and look at Kobe's numbers and compare them to Shaq. Look at when the Lakers went against the Twin Towers, David Robinson and Tim Duncan, when Shaq struggled in the series. He didn't put up the numbers that he put up against other people. And look at Kobe's numbers. Kobe completely dominated the Spurs. Oh, let's look at the centers that Shaquille O'Neal had to go through in the championship games, because everybody want to keep, Shaq was MVP for all 3 championships. Absolutely he was. You know why? Because he was going against an old Dikembe Mutombo. He was going against Todd McCullough, Aaron Williams. Who's the other guy he went against? Rick Smits. Rick Smith had game offensively, but Rick Smith was a 7'4" finesse center. Shaq dominated Rick Smith every time he played. Rick Smith is not an Hall of Famer. Now, let's look who Kobe had to guard in these series. Jason Kidd, Kerry Kittles, Allen Iverson. Who else he had to guard? Richard Jefferson. I mean, the players that he had to guard were a lot better, and the players that was guarding him were a lot better than the players that Shaq had to go against. So if you have an obvious mismatch, unlike today's NBA, when you have an obvious mismatch and you got the most dominant big man in the league, of course the offense is going to go through you in the championship game. It is nothing they can do to stop you. Oh, he went against Jalen Rose and Reggie Miller. You see what I'm saying? Kobe had tougher competition in the finals than Shaq did. And even then, Kobe came through for him. Did Kobe have bad games? Absolutely he did. He had some atrocious games throughout his career, but who didn't? Who didn't? People want to throw up, oh, he had the most misses in NBA history. Guess who's about to have the most misses in NBA history? LeBron James. LeBron is right there. But you don't hear people saying that. Oh, well, LeBron was more efficient. I would hope so. You're 6'8", 260, 250. The majority of your shots come from 5 feet in. Kobe was a perimeter player. Of course, his field goal percentage is going to be lower. These are things about the game that novices will not tell you. They don't understand this stuff. They want to go, oh yeah, his stats. Stats don't tell the whole story. They tell part of the story. But you got to have context with stats. Got to have context. Kobe, 12-time all first team defensive player. 12 all defensive teams, I should say. 12. So not only did he give it to you on the offensive end, he gave it to you on the defensive end. Kobe Bryant. But we have this narrative that he was trash. Do you know that Kobe has the most assists of any shooting guard ever? No, people don't know that. Do you know, according to playing in a triangle offense, that prevents people from having high assist numbers? No, novices wouldn't know that. So people always want to throw, when it comes to this LeBron and Kobe argument, right? They laugh talking about as if Kobe shouldn't even be in the discussion, right? Kobe had Shaq. Okay, I give you that. Kobe had Shaq. But what did Shaq win before he got there with Kobe? He had Penny. Penny was a beast before his injuries. But did Shaq win a championship with Penny? Nah. Was Shaq's team stacked? Absolutely. He had Horace Grant. He had Nick Anderson. He had Dennis Scott, Penny Hardaway. I mean, come on. He had a nice squad, bro. Okay. Kobe. They talk about, he lost the 4-0 lead, 3-1 lead to the Suns. Well, did you not know that Kobe, it was a miracle that Kobe even pulled that team to the NBA finals? To the NBA playoffs? I love Kwame Brown as a person, and Kwame Brown had solid defense, but Kwame Brown wasn't a star by any means. Smush Parker wasn't a star by any means. He was a D-leaguer. That was before it was called G League. It was called the Developmental League. It was called the D League. Smush Parker was a D-leaguer. Andrew Bynum wasn't ready yet. He was as raw as it was, as it could be. He did not have a squad. And he took that squad against the Phoenix Suns, who was favorite to make it to the NBA Finals out of the Western Conference. And he took them to 7 games. People talk about how LeBron James' roster was terrible. Look what he carried to the finals. First of all, when LeBron was carrying them to all them finals, look at the Eastern Conference, bro. And compare it to the Wild West. That's what they used to call it. The Wild West. Because the West has so many players. Had so many great teams. It was hard to get out of the West. So, Kobe, yeah, them years that Shaq got to the Shaq trade, the team struggled, but Kobe was putting up awesome numbers. Kobe was carrying. So then, this trade come through. Marc Gasol, Javaris Crittenton, and Kwame Brown in the first round draft pick for Paul Gasol. And people act like Paul Gasol, very good player, Hall of Famer, but there's levels to this. People act like Paul Gasol was the best big man in the NBA. He was not. Powell could not make it out the first round. In fact, he had never won a playoff game in Memphis, being the man. Powell's reputation was that he was a skilled European big man, which meant he can jump. He was very skilled, but he was soft. But since the trade went through and Kobe got him, all of a sudden, he done transformed into the GOAT, one of the GOAT big men of all time. Come on. Horrible narrative. And then the season that they went to the championship game against Boston and lost with Paul Gasol, people tend to forget Andrew Bynum was hurt. Paul Gasol was getting physically abused in that series. And it still went 6 games. What did Kobe do? Kobe toughened that dude up. See, all these people talk about Kobe didn't make his teammates better. It's crazy to me that a lot of these players had their best numbers of their careers playing with Kobe. You know why? He held them accountable. He held them accountable. That's why. He was a butthole to him, absolutely. But he held them accountable. Kobe toughened up Paul Gasol. Paul talk about it all the time. So that next year, Paul had to go against Dwight Howard. And guess what happened? He banged with Dwight Howard, who was one of the most physical players in the NBA. Coincidentally, that same Dwight Howard Orlando Magic team beat LeBron in the playoffs. Because remember, Kobe waited 3 straight years for LeBron to get to the finals. 3 straight years. Didn't get there. Kobe, Paul Gasol, Andrew Bynum handled the Orlando Magics. And people tend to want to dump on people's teams, bro. They had Hedo Turkoglu. They had Dwight Howard. They had Jameer Nelson. They had they had a nice squad, bro. They had a nice squad. But see, people thought, that team was trash. Okay. It was so trash they beat LeBron in them. Then they come back and they had to play the Boston Celtics. People want to say, oh, well, Kobe shot horribly. Yes, he did shoot horribly that last game in that game 7. But guess what? He led the game in rebounds. He had a lot of assists, and he played shutdown defense. And guess who else? Guess what else? Everybody, with the exception of one player, had a horrible shooting game. But you don't hear that. You don't hear it. The whole game They were shooting, both teams were shooting horribly. But you don't hear that. In fact, you don't hear the game winner was made by Ron Artest, a.k.a. Meta World Peace. And guess who passed him the ball? Kobe Bryant. But you don't hear that. You don't hear it. Oh, Kobe shot horribly. He was carried. I'm destroying all these false narratives. All of them. Kobe, they want to say, oh, he only had one MVP. Kobe should have 3 MVPs, bro. At least 3. Kobe was the best player in the NBA per players in the NBA, per analysts in the NBA, per coaches in the NBA, and per GMs in the NBA. He ran the 2010s, bro. I mean, before 2010. I mean, he ran it from 2000, I want to say 2002 to 2011, 2010. Kobe ran the league. Hell, LeBron was even saying, the best player in the game right now, I got to say Kobe. It's Kobe. It's Kobe. Right now, it's Kobe. But you got these ignorant trolls saying, oh, he was never the best player in the league. No, never. I would argue Tim Duncan and them were better than him. Disrespectful. And then they want to act like Tim Duncan was greater than Kobe. Tim Duncan, like I said, he's a great player. He's to me, he's the best power forward to ever play the game. And I never take anything away from Tim Duncan. Great player. But Tim Duncan was consistently around great players. They front office do an awesome job drafting and developing players. Awesome job. And put the right players around them that work for them that system. Kobe didn't always have that. But this narrative, oh, they was more successful longer. Bottom line is, how many rings Tim Duncan got? 5. How many rings Kobe got? 5. Who has a better record head-to-head in the playoff series? Kobe. Regular season, Tim Duncan got him in the regular season. But when it was the playoffs, it's 18-12. Kobe was beating him in the playoffs. These are narratives that need to be shut down. Dogging Kobe. I would argue his 81-point game against the Toronto Raptors was greater than the late great Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. Reason being, Wilt Chamberlain was 7'2". Had like a 50-inch vertical or something, 48, 50-inch vertical. No lie. Look it up. Playing against guys that was mostly 6'8", 6'7", 6'9". And this is not to slight Wilt, because I think Wilt would dominate in the league today if he was born at this time, around this time. Kobe was a perimeter player and scored 81 points from the perimeter. Well, you know, the further away you are from the basket, the lower your percentages get. Look at the percentage that Kobe shot that game in 81. He shot over 50%. All I'm saying is, stop hating on the Mamba. Get a man his credit. Stop the false narratives. I'm out.